Have you ever wondered why some men, seemingly weaker, are drawn to strong women like moths to a flame? There's a certain allure that strong women possess. Their independence, confidence, and resilience are captivating, yet intimidating. These qualities can often be seen as a challenge, a puzzle to be solved, or even a trophy to be won. But what is it about these strong women that weak men find so enticing? It could be the thrill of the chase, or the satisfaction of taming a force of nature. Or perhaps it's the aura of strength and confidence that they themselves lack. This initial attraction, however, is not rooted in genuine admiration or respect. Instead, it stems from a desire to conquer, to feel powerful. In this dance of attraction, the stage is set for a complex and often destructive relationship. Now let's delve into the manipulation phase, where the weak man attempts to woo the strong woman. This is a complex dance filled with strategic moves designed to chip away at her resolve. One of these tactics is playing the victim. The weak man may paint himself as a hapless individual, wronged by the world, in desperate need of her strength and support. Then there's gaslighting. This is a subtle yet powerful form of manipulation where the weak man makes the strong woman question her own perceptions, memory, and sanity. He might deny things that have happened or distort facts to fit his narrative. Emotional blackmail is another tool in the arsenal. This involves guilt-tripping, making the strong woman feel responsible for his happiness or well-being. This tactic can be especially damaging as it preys on her empathy and kindness. The manipulation often leads to a warped sense of reality, where the strong woman may start questioning her strength. Rejection stings, but for weak men, it's a blow to their fragile ego. The harsh reality of being turned down by a strong woman can be a bitter pill to swallow, and in a desperate bid to save face, they resort to deception. They might start to paint themselves as the embodiment of the woman's ideal partner, all the while masking their own insecurities and weaknesses behind a facade of strength and confidence. This can involve grand gestures, sweet words, and promises of change, all designed to convince the woman that they are everything she's been searching for. Yet, beneath this guise, the same vulnerabilities exist, unaddressed and festering. This is a dangerous game for both parties involved. The woman is being led on a wild goose chase, and the man is only deepening his insecurities. The fear of rejection often pushes weak men to create a false persona, further complicating the relationship. A strong woman's independence can be a threat to a weak man's ego, leading to attempts to gain control. Once a weak man realizes he can't match the strength of a woman, he may resort to other tactics to assert dominance. One of the most common ways is by undermining her achievements. He may belittle her accomplishments, dismiss her successes, and downplay her abilities. This is a blatant attempt to erode her self-confidence and make her feel less capable than she truly is. Another tactic is isolation. He may try to cut her off from her friends and family, creating an environment where she becomes dependent on him for social interaction. This is a manipulative strategy to make her feel alone and vulnerable, therefore easier to control. A constant stream of criticism is another weapon in the weak man's arsenal. He may nitpick her every move, criticize her choices, and make her doubt her own judgment. This constant barrage of negativity can be incredibly draining and further lower her self-esteem. All these tactics are not signs of love or care, but rather a desperate bid to maintain power in the relationship. It's a twisted dance of manipulation and control, often leading to emotional abuse. The aim is to make the strong woman feel weak and dependent, to feed the weak man's ego and maintain his illusion of control. These control attempts are a desperate bid to maintain power in the relationship, often leading to emotional abuse. When control fails, destruction often follows. This is where our journey brings us to the crossroads of emotional and psychological warfare. When weak men realize they cannot control a strong woman, they often resort to destructive tactics. Their weapon of choice, psychological or emotional abuse aimed at breaking down the resilience of the strong woman. Imagine a castle under siege. The invaders cannot force the gates open, so they attempt to bring down the walls. This is a similar strategy. Weak men may start to belittle the strong woman, criticize her choices, undermine her achievements, and generally attempt to make her question her worth. They inject subtle doubts, create confusion, and aim to shake the very foundation of her confidence. It's a slow, methodical process, like a steady drip of water that eventually erodes even the hardest stone. The signs of such destructive behavior can be subtle, but they're there. Constant criticism, dismissive remarks, attempts to isolate her from her support network, sowing seeds of self-doubt. These are all red flags. Such tactics are not about love or respect, but about power and control. They aim to transform the strong, independent woman into someone who is dependent and weak, someone easier to control, to manipulate. In this destructive phase, the strong woman's self-esteem and independence are often the targets. However, the strong woman is not defenseless. Her strength and resilience can serve as her shield and sword in the face of such attempts. But that's a discussion for another scene. The emotional game stage is where the weak man tries to keep the strong woman hooked without committing fully. This is the phase where the man, aware that he cannot control or dominate the woman, resorts to psychological tactics to keep her entangled. One of the most common maneuvers is inconsistent behavior. A weak man will be sweet and considerate one moment, then distant and aloof the next, leaving the woman in a state of constant bewilderment. This unpredictable behavior is a deliberate attempt to keep her guessing and to make her question her own judgment. Then there's the hot and cold treatment. This is when a man alternates between showing intense affection and then withdrawing it. The purpose? To make the woman crave the warmth of the good times and in doing so, tolerate the cold periods. This push and pull technique creates a powerful emotional bond that is hard to break free from. Another tactic often employed is keeping the woman in a constant state of uncertainty. A weak man will avoid defining the relationship, making promises he has no intention of keeping, or continually changing his stance on important issues. This leaves the woman unsure of where she stands, always hoping for clarity that never comes. The weak man might also use emotional blackmail to keep the strong woman tied to him. This could be guilt-tripping her for spending time with others or threatening to harm himself if she leaves. This kind of emotional manipulation is designed to make her feel responsible for his happiness, thus making it harder for her to break away. These games aren't about love or respect, but about power and control. They're about keeping the woman off balance, making her doubt herself, and making her feel like she needs the man to navigate her own emotions. These emotional games are designed to keep the strong woman off balance and dependent on the weak man. Because in the end, the weak man's goal isn't to love the strong woman, but to control her, and these games are his way of doing just that. Now, how can strong women recognize and avoid these weak men? Well, there are a few strategies that can be adopted. Firstly, it's essential to recognize red flags early in the game. If a man is overly interested in your strength, not as a positive attribute, but as a challenge to overcome, that's a warning sign. If he often undermines your achievements or makes you feel like you need to prove yourself, that's another red flag. Such subtle signs can often reveal the true intentions of a person. Secondly, maintaining strong boundaries is crucial. It can be easy to get swept up in the charm offensive that these weak men often launch. But remember, your boundaries are sacred. If your partner constantly pushes them or tries to make you feel guilty for having them, it's time to reconsider the relationship. A person who truly respects you will respect your boundaries as well. The third strategy is prioritizing self-respect. It's easy to lose sight of your worth when someone constantly tries to belittle you or make you feel less. But remember, you're strong and you deserve to be treated as such. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise. If a man can't appreciate your strength, he doesn't deserve to be in your life. Lastly, don't be afraid to walk away. Sometimes the best way to avoid these weak men is to cut ties completely. It can be hard, especially if you've invested time and emotions into the relationship. But in the long run, it's better to be single and strong than to be with someone who constantly tries to bring you down. These strategies are not foolproof, but they can provide a solid foundation for strong women to protect themselves from men who seek to exploit their strength. It's not about being cynical, but about being aware and cautious, protecting your heart and your strength. Remember, a strong woman deserves a partner who respects her strength, not one who seeks to diminish it.